All right, Jay, if we go to UFC, right, we saw Jamahal approach Alex Pereira at the UFC PI in Vegas. And he was about to. I don't even know why he went to confront to Pereira, because actually, when I think about it, he came to Pereira while he was training, and he wanted some of that fire, right? Some of that smoke. But when Pereira threw gloves at him in terms of, okay, come, let's do it, he was like, no, I get paid to do this. Like, so why did you go there in the first place? But Jay, is this more sour grapes? Because we saw what happened when they actually were in the octagon together. He got his lights put out, right? So if you're Jamahal, what are you doing there? What's your business there?
Jamahal says he didn't go up there to start smoke. He went up. He saw him and he went up to him. And then he says that Alex Pereira started saying something to his coach, and his coach started interpreting in terms of oh man. Jamahal was talking about. Then the conversation goes to Jamahal saying that Pereira mentioned how, oh, it's nice to see that you're awake. Something to the end that it's nice to see that you're awake, because of course Pereira had put him to sleep. So that got Jamahal riled up, and Jamahal is talking about how he's gonna put Pereira to sleep. And with Pereira, as we saw, throwing the gloves at Jamahal, saying, we can go now. Jamahal says, well, I only put on gloves to get into the octagon, but like, this is not what's happening right here. We don't need gloves. But then Jamahal switches up and he says, well, he's not going to be fighting unless like there's money on the table, because they made good money at UFC 300 with that fight, and like he wants to take care of business at UFC 310 coming up in January against Jury, and then get another shot at Alex Pereira and not fight for free, pretty much. But man, like, that sounds like a whole lot of smoke from up his you-know-what from Jamahal, because number one, Chuck, when I was looking at that video, I thought to myself, I would not want smoke with Alex Pereira right now as well. This is not me questioning the heart of Jamahal. Anyone who steps into the octagon is about that life, right? But Chuck, I look at the state of the two men in that video. One, Alex Pereira is shirtless, and he looks like he has been like chiseled out of stone, right? That boy looks like he's ready to go tomorrow, right now, in fact, which is why I was like, put on the gloves, let's do it. Jamahal, he looked a little rotund now. That looked like a man who hasn't been training maybe for a little while, and he knows his fight is not coming up tomorrow, but it's coming up in a little over a month. So he's got some time to get in shape. And I believe he took one look at him and thought about his level, because they were training in the same facility, and he could see the workout out of the corner of his eye, and he knows his levels, and he thought to himself, nah. Not right now. Not right now. Like, I don't need that. So for me, I don't know why Jamahal stepped up to that, man. If you're gonna get gloves thrown at you, you're gonna be like, nah, let's not do that. And then he's walking away and he's talking smack, talking about how they're gonna meet again in the ring and he's gonna put him to sleep. I'm like, brother, having been put to sleep yourself, I don't know if you want to be saying these things to Alex Pereira.
You know, the thing about Alex Pereira, I think, Anthony Smith, Jamahal, I think it's a bit of jealousy in terms of this guy came up too quickly. This guy has seen it too quickly, because these guys have been there grinding, but they didn't have the same success as he has. I see this because Anthony Smith, who is struggling, I think is on the verge of retirement, has come out to say, well, actually, Pereira's striking is good, but I'm more well-rounded. So if we were to ever fight, I'd beat him. And people were like, the fans were like, really? You? Of all people? And Jamahal stepped into the ring with Alex Pereira. He got his lights turned off. And he's the same guy again saying he's going to beat him. You had your chance. You blew it, And I think Jamahal has had success, right? I think he earned the right to fight for the title. He earned the right to get the contender spot, and he got the belt, right? And unfortunately, he got his knee injured. They had to vacate. I don't see him climbing back up the mountain. And all he can do now is talk. And all these guys do when they have their YouTube channels turned on, we've got their social media, they say, if we meet in person, it's going to be on. But when the guy throws gloves at you and says, let's do it, why don't you take that chance?
And that was what precipitated this confrontation, right?
Yeah.
Because Jamahal was like, well, we don't have to be talking on Twitter anymore. I'm here.
Okay.
And then and what transpired. In his defense, Jamahal's defense, and when going, because I was thinking to myself, why would you say, just talk all that smack to somebody who like beat you in the first round the way that he did? But and this is something that is backed up by Joe Rogan as well, that it was circumstantial. how that knockout happened in the first round, because Jamal Hill kicks him in the groin.
I don't believe that. You know what? Look.
Chuck,
Look,
the setup is that the ref comes in, and of course Jamal Hill drops his guard, right? In terms of, okay, are we fighting? What's happening? And at that point, Pereira had closed the distance, and he shoves the ref away, and then boom, like it's a knockout. So Jamal Hill's whole stance is that, well, without that, it might have been a different fight altogether, and we need another fight, and he's certainly trying to set up another fight.
Hey, when Cap says to Iron Man, put on the suit, let's go.
That's exactly what I was thinking about, Chuck.
It's like, I see it, and Jay, I don't buy that excuse, and I know I understand the explanation from Joe Rogan, but when he kicks Pereira in the groin, and Herb Jean tries to step in and say, okay, do you need time? Pereira pushes more in terms of, I'm good. Jamal Hill can see all of this. He's not distracted. He's looking at his opponent and says, I'm good. And he takes a step back as Pereira is approaching him. So for me, he's definitely aware of what's going on. If you want to reset, run away to the left, run away to the right, and then reset yourself. But if you're going to stand in front of him still and want to trade, if your lights get put out, that's on you.
Hey, man, that's what he said. That's what he said. But in terms of Alex Pereira, Chuck, I think he must be the biggest star in UFC, right? Because when I think about the fact that Jamal Hill wants a crack at him, Jiri also wants a crack at him again, depending on how that fight against Jamal Hill happens. Famously, we've heard and we've spoken about how John Jones is on the record as saying that the fight that's out there that he wants, willing to either go down to light heavyweights again or figure out a catchweight, is he wants to fight Alex Pereira. And Pereira now two-time two-division champion, and having come in with the storied background with Adesanya, and I'd be jealous too, because like it really, the way that he's been positioned, and this guy doesn't even speak English. He barely speaks.
Shama.
Like, we don't get to hear what he has to say. He doesn't sell fights with his mouth, but like he keeps on finding himself in these prestigious positions within the company. So I get the feelings of these other fighters, but I think for me the other thing is the fact that it really does prove that Alex Pereira is the number one guy in the promotion, because everybody wants to crack at him.
I mean, I read a comment, I think it was on YouTube, when someone says they didn't expect that the biggest gift that Israel Adesanya gave to the game was Alex Pereira. Because of their history, Alex Pereira has come up, got a title shot, beats Izzy, goes to lightweight and all that stuff. The other thing with him, Jay, is that whenever there's an injury, or my lightweight, or my heavyweight, he's always saying, I'll save the day. That's a dream for the boss. That's a dream for the boss in terms of who's a big name, who's going to save us, who's going to save the card. Alex Pereira is always willing. He would have been on 310 as well, except Dana's like, nah, not this time, my man. Take a break, you know. So I think he is a darling. He's the biggest star of the UFC, and I think
he's always willing to fight.
He knows that time's not on his side, and he's going to make hay while the sun shines. So